Hi, and welcome to episode 12 in this series of Cheltenham anti-post chats with the Bookies foe. If you're new to the channel and like what you're hearing, please subscribe and give us a like. And if you hit the bell icon, it will keep you up to date with all future broadcasts. So this week it's the Turners Novice Chase, which was previously known as the Marsh. So what have you got to tell me about this race?
Hiya, Pen. So this started in 2011, and I suppose the best way you would describe this as it's like the Ryanair for novices. It's 2.5 miles. So you will have, I'm just looking at the winners of this over the last sort of 10 years, well, since 2011, and we've had horses that have gone on to run in Gold Cups. We've got horses that have ran in Ryanair's, and we've even had horses that have ran in champion chases. So it can sort of bring horses onto the staying routes, and it can also so it's a good sort of stopgap for novices. And some really good horses have won this race, like Vautour. 2015 Vautour won this, and it was one of the most spectacular performances I've ever seen on a race course.
Oh, right.
He was unfortunately killed, I think the year after, but on the gallops while he was training, but phenomenal. So it's a good race. Stats wise, 6 or 7 is what you want. Since 2011, only one 8-year-old has won it.
Yeah.
And that's the oldest winner of this race. And no 5-year-olds have won it. So you want a 6 or a 7-year-old.
So Chantry House last year, 7-year-old at the time, yeah.
Yeah, and of course he's our fancy for the Gold Cup this year, isn't he? So he's on the chart. He was 7 last year, yeah. And I fully expect him to improve for the Gold Cup trip. So it's been kind to me, I suppose, this race. I've backed a few winners of it, and I think the stats have held up. I think you need to be looking at a 6 or a 7-year-old. Sam Crow is the only 8-year-old, and I don't think 5-year-olds are up to winning this. I think they're too young. They're not strong enough. And with that, you can then look at the market and narrow down the field.
Yeah. Do you want to talk us through what you've looked through then?
Yeah. So Bob Ollinger, let's be honest here. Bob Ollinger wins this easily, as long as his jumping holds up, and his jumping has improved. He was very impressive the last day. It was the only negative about him was his jumping, so he could win this by a long way. Galloping Deschamps would definitely give him a race, but Galloping Deschamps getting very short for this now. 7-2 in a place, but we think he's going for the Brown Advisory. And if Willie's clever, and of course we know Willie is clever, he will send him to the Brown Advisory, because Galloping Deschamps wins that easy. He's not going to come here and potentially get beaten by Bob Ollinger, surely to God. So if Galloping Deschamps does go for the Brown Advisory, Bob Ollinger wins this easy. Hard held. So you're just looking for each way value then, and what I have noticed is when you look at the market here, there's a lot of very lightly raced 8-year-olds. And a lot of them are trained by Willie Mullins, and people are going to back these horses. People are going to pile into these horses, and I implore them not to do it, because being 8 is a negative, but being lightly raced at 8, I think, is also a negative, because you've got these younger, potentially faster novices coming along with more experience. And I think that's what you need in this race. You need a 6 or a 7-year-old that's had a few runs.
Yeah.
These lightly raced 8-year-olds, as good as they probably are, they just probably are getting a little bit older for the lack of experience they have. And I think, and I'll give you examples of what I mean. We have Run Wild Fred is going to go for the 4-miler. But to give you an example of what I've been on about, Jungle Boogie seems like a lovely horse, very, very nice horse, but he would fall under that 8-year-old stat that I don't like. The next one is El Barra, Egality Mons, all trained by Willie and all statistically not right. And Beton is another one. So Willie is 4 very promising, very likely raced 8-year-olds that I think will go on to be very good horses, but I think this race is not right for them. And I would advise people to stay away from those horses. For the same reason, 5-year-olds, there's plenty of 5-year-olds in here, and I just don't think they're strong enough to win this race, 5-year-olds. You have River de Tel, who is potentially a superstar, Saint Sam, Nasalam, another one from Willie, Houghton Calor, who looks potentially a world beater. But I'm swerving anything older than 7 and anything younger than 6. And you can really narrow down the field by doing that.
Yeah.
Stats, people go, oh, sure, the horse doesn't know how old he is. But but the stats hold up for a reason over a 10-year period, or a 20-year period, And I can see sorry, Pen, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I can see these 8-year-olds, lightly raced 8-year-olds, really shortening in price because they're with Willie, Sorry, go on.
I think it's just a trap that maybe people like me trying to make selections for the first time could fall into, thinking, oh, it's a lightly raced 8-year-old, that's probably going to be like a well-raced 7-year-old, and think they've got a little bit of, less mileage on the clock because they're lightly raced, and think it's a good one to back. So that's quite a handy tip.
Yeah, indeed. I think it is. It's important, and I think it's relevant, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at the 2 you have selected?
So the 2 I have gone for, well, I'll just quickly touch on some others that I'm gonna swerve. Brave Man's Game might be very popular in this market, as he will in the Brown Advisory. I don't know which race he's going for, but as I said before, I don't think Cheltenham suits him at all. And I'll be swerving him. There's quite a few horses here that are going to run in the Arkle. And there's quite a few horses here that will also run in the Brown Advisory. So, but the 2 I've found are, I think, decent prices. The first one is, I think, fascinating, and I really hope he comes here because I think he should. It's Statler. Statler is 25-1 with Bet365. Now, the interesting thing with Statler is there's 2 interesting points here, and that's why I think he should come for this race. Number 1, he didn't get home in the Albert Bartlett last season. Ran really well. Was there coming down the hill, but he did not get home over 3 miles. So why would you send him then for the Brown Advisory? I know he jumps a lot better, which is my second point, but that's still not going to negate the fact that he didn't get home last season in the Albert Bartlett. So surely 2.5 miles will suit him better.
Right.
He jumps a fence so beautifully, Statler. He has improved as a racehorse massively from hurdles to fences. And I think he could be potentially underestimated. So I hope that's the reason to 1. So 2.5 will suit that. Fences is a crazy price for him, and let's hope he does come here. I think Willie's making a big mistake if he sends him for the Brown Advisory. Willie knows a lot more than I do now, but look, that's just the way I see it. And look, the second selection, look, I've been scratching around because I was able to write off so many horses in this market for one reason or another. And the one I was sort of scratching around for a second selection. So it's a horse that may go for the Brown Advisory, but I'm hoping he does come here, and that's Long Press. He there's very little negatives you could say about this fella. I think he's unbeaten. He's been very impressive, but by God, does he jump a fence? He just flies over. I'm trying to just bring up his particular form here, and it won't work for me now. Just bear with me 1 sec. Oh, yeah. And he's 8-1 with Bet365. Oh, I have him there. Venetia, fabulous trainer. Probably doesn't have a huge amount of festival winners to her name, but I really think she has a nice horse here. So he is, when I say unbeaten, I mean unbeaten over fences.
Yeah.
He's gone right-handed, he's gone left-handed, he's run on a flat track, he's run on undulating track, he's run on soft ground, he's run on good to soft, and as long as it doesn't get rattling quick, which I'm sure it won't, because they will water anyway, I think he is a fabulous price, but there's a slight chance he'll go for the Brown Advisory, but we do have non-runner, no bet. I can't find another selection for the race pen. I can't. I really can't. They're either going for the Arkle, or they're going for the Brown Advisory, or they're too old, too lightly raced, too young. And I just think he will be our second selection. Yeah, so I'm happy enough to pop him up there.
Perfect, lovely. So we'll have a little look at the chart.
Yeah.
There we go. So not many spaces left now, really.
Yeah, it's filling up. Yeah. Yeah, that's
still some decent prices to get. One of today's selections at 25s is great. Out of the two. So
yeah. I'm more than happy. There's gonna have to reselect a few, but we've got some really nice ones there, I think. And I think next week, Penn, we are going to do the potato race.
Albert Bartlett.
Which is the Albert Bartlett, yeah. You know why they call it the potato race, don't you?
Well, I've heard of that brand of potato, yeah.
Yeah, well done. Well done. A lot of people don't, so they go, what you mean? What you mean potato race? So, yeah, great. So that will be next week.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. And look forward to that one next week.
Very good.